So for this first competency assignment, we are going to talk about argumentation. This is argumentation in the classical Greek sense, which means it is a claim supported by reasons. That's all that an argument is. A lot of people picture, something very heated, people getting red in the face, screaming at each other. That absolutely is a type of argument. Very specifically, it is a dialectic style argument, or it follows the war model of argumentation. But that's not necessarily what makes up an argument. So, the two varieties of argumentation we're going to be talking about today are aggressive argumentation and cooperative argumentation, which, just based on the names, I'm guessing you've got some sense of what each one means. But we're going to break that down further with some specific characteristics that go into each one. And I'm going to try to differentiate between what that looks like in a oral or verbal argument, as in people talking to each other, compared to a written argument. So the kind of thing that you're going to see in academic papers or on Facebook posts or Twitter or things like that. So for aggressive argumentation, some of the key things to look for in an argument that will let you know it's aggressive is that there could be shouting, which, is easy to identify if we're talking about a verbal argument, but in the writing, then frequently that will look like a lot of exclamation points or caps locks or things like that. People presenting propaganda is another good way to do it, where they're very clearly arguing that one thing is right and therefore everything else is wrong, and they're trying to present only information that shows that one side of things. That's propaganda. Or they're going to be looking to score points. We see this a lot online. People will say, well, that person did this one thing, and they'll use that to try to dunk on it. Or it's a way of trying to dismiss something out of hand. One-sidedness is a clear indicator that you're dealing with an aggressive argument. So they're not looking at both sides of the discussion. They're just saying, this is my opinion, and this is why my opinion is right. And there's no consideration of why another opinion could be right or why their opinion might be wrong. Going along with that, then it will be clear that the person is not listening. If you're talking to somebody, then you can tell they're being aggressive because they're not giving you a chance to speak. But in an online forum, then if they're ignoring a lot of the information that the other person is presenting, then they are not really listening to that person. Aggressive argumentation tends to be manipulative as well. They'll do things like name calling and things like that. Or they will use appeals to something other than reason. So they'll say, isn't that just sad, or isn't that terrible? And they'll try to make you feel a particular way about the thing without actually presenting evidence that they're right. In other words, aggressive argumentation is extremely effective in the short term, but it's not the only way. There is also cooperative argumentation. So cooperative argumentation, the hallmarks of that are people who are reasoning, or they're trying to logic things out, and they're saying, how did we get from step A to step B to step C? And they're not just yelling that they're right, but they're trying to work their way through it, possibly out loud with you in front of them. They're going to be truth-seeking. They're not necessarily just arguing for the thing that they want to happen, but they're trying to find out if the thing that they want to happen is the best thing that can happen. And likewise, they're looking to find solutions. They're considering multiple sides of the particular debate, so they might have their stance, but then they're willing to say, there is this weakness within my belief, or this is a reason that I could be wrong, or this is a time that the thing I'm saying might not work. They will be listening, so they will be directly responding to what another person is saying. They're not going to be dunking on them, they're not going to be dismissing them, but they're going to be listening to their points and trying to integrate that as they go through. And they're generally trying to be collaborative, trying to work with the person that they're talking to in order to come to the truth. Like I mentioned earlier with truth seeking, then that's really the hallmark of cooperative argumentation, is that they are trying to find the truth. And cooperative argumentation is very effective in the long term. So it might not be a whole lot of short-term wins. It might not grant a short dopamine boost like aggressive argumentation does, but cooperative argumentation is more likely to solve problems because it's looking at the bigger picture.